Comment where you're watching from today, and let's dive into a story that reminds us why we should never judge a book by its cover, or in this case, a legend by his clothes. On a crisp autumn morning in Chicago's Highland Mall, a tall figure moved quietly through the bustling shopping center, dressed in comfortable gray sweatpants and a well-worn Nike hoodie. The man's casual attire stood in stark contrast to the designer-clad shoppers around him, but his confident stride suggested he felt perfectly at home. This was Michael Jordan, though on this day, he wasn't seeking attention. He was simply looking to do some shopping in peace. The mall's marble floors gleamed under the skylight, and the air was filled with the gentle murmur of conversation and the clicking of heels against polished stone. The morning crowd was typical of Highland Mall, wealthy locals, fashion-conscious teenagers, and tourists hoping to catch a glimpse of Chicago's elite. Among them, Victoria Reynolds stood out in her impeccable designer outfit, her perfectly manicured nails wrapped around the handles of several luxury shopping bags. As Jordan browsed through a rack of casual wear in one of the mall's high-end stores, Victoria's voice cut through the ambient music like a knife. "Can you believe what some people wear to these establishments?" she remarked loudly to her companion, Emma Sullivan, who worked at the store. Her voice was deliberately pitched to carry, her words dripping with disdain as she eyed Jordan's attire. Emma shifted uncomfortably behind the counter, recognizing the tall shopper immediately, but Victoria continued her commentary, each word more cutting than the last. "I mean, really, if you can't afford to dress properly, there are plenty of discount stores in the area." She laughed, a sound as artificial as her designer handbag's gold-plated fixtures. Jordan continued browsing, his expression unchanged, his movements deliberate and unhurried. He'd heard comments like these before, they had long since ceased to affect him. His fingers moved across the fabric of a simple black t-shirt, examining the quality with the expertise of someone who knew more about athletic wear than most designers. Victoria, interpreting his silence as embarrassment, pressed on. "It's not just about the clothes, you know. It's about respecting the establishment. Some people clearly don't understand the concept of appropriate attire." She made a show of adjusting her diamond bracelet, her voice carrying across the store. Other shoppers began to take notice of the scene unfolding. Lisa Martinez, who had been examining a display of designer shoes, slowly lowered the heel she'd been considering, her attention drawn to the developing situation. Michael Bennett, another regular at the mall, paused his conversation with the security guard, Trevor Jackson, both men watching the interaction with growing interest. Jordan finally selected a few items and made his way to the counter, where Emma stood frozen, her face a mixture of embarrassment and anticipation. Victoria, still holding court near the entrance, couldn't resist one final jab. "I suppose some people just don't know any better. Perhaps we should implement a dress code." As Jordan approached the counter, Robert Chin, the store manager, emerged from the back room. His eyes widened in recognition, and a broad smile spread across his face. "Mr. Jordan, what an honor to have you in our store today. I hope you're finding everything to your satisfaction." The atmosphere in the store shifted instantly. Victoria's smug expression faltered as the name registered. Other shoppers turned to stare, and whispers rippled through the store like a wave. Emma, who had been quietly mortified by Victoria's behavior, now stood straighter, a small smile playing at the corners of her mouth. Victoria's face drained of color as she realized her mistake. The man she had been mocking, the one she had suggested shop at discount stores, was none other than Michael Jordan, the basketball legend, entrepreneur, and billionaire. Her shopping bags suddenly felt very heavy in her hands. Jordan turned slightly, his calm demeanor unchanged. "Everything's fine, Robert. You've got a good selection here." His voice was measured and professional, carrying none of the irritation or anger that lesser men might have displayed. He returned his attention to Emma, who was carefully folding his selections. The store had fallen completely silent. Victoria's companion had quietly distanced herself, leaving the woman standing alone near the entrance, her designer outfit suddenly seeming gaudy rather than sophisticated. Trevor Jackson, the security guard, had moved closer to the counter, not out of concern for trouble but out of respect for the legend in their midst. Jordan completed his purchase, the total amount more than Victoria's entire shopping spree, though the number meant nothing to him. As he accepted the shopping bag from Emma, he finally addressed the elephant in the room, though not directly looking at Victoria. "You know," he said, his voice carrying easily in the quiet store, "I learned a long time ago that the clothes don't make the man. What matters is character, respect, and how you treat others." He paused, a slight smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "Some of the richest people I know wear sweats and hoodies. Some of the poorest souls I've met are dressed head to toe in designer labels." The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Victoria clutched her shopping bags tighter, her knuckles white against the designer leather. Around the store, heads nodded in agreement with Jordan's words, and several shoppers shot disapproving looks in Victoria's direction. Robert Chin stepped forward, seizing the moment to add his own perspective. "Mr. Jordan has been a valued customer here for years. He's always welcome, regardless of what he's wearing." The statement was polite but pointed, and Victoria seemed to shrink further into herself. As Jordan turned to leave, he paused briefly near Victoria. Without malice or condescension, he simply said, "Have a nice day." The simple phrase, delivered with genuine sincerity rather than sarcasm, seemed to affect her more than any angry retort could have. The other shoppers watched as Jordan made his way out of the store, his dignified exit a stark contrast to Victoria's earlier behavior. Lisa Martinez, who had been recording the entire interaction on her phone, quickly posted the video online, where it would soon go viral and spark countless discussions about judgment, respect, and true class. Victoria stood rooted to the spot, her carefully cultivated image of superiority shattered by her own actions. The whispers around her grew louder, and she could hear snippets of conversations. "Can't believe she did that. Michael Jordan, of all people, shows you can't judge by appearances." Emma Sullivan, who had witnessed the entire scene from behind the counter, summed up what everyone was thinking. "Sometimes the most expensive lesson comes free of charge." The story spread through the mall like wildfire, then across social media, and finally into news outlets. It became a powerful reminder that true worth isn't measured by the clothes you wear or the labels you can afford, but by the way you treat others, regardless of their appearance. And somewhere in Chicago, Michael Jordan continued his day, unbothered by the incident, having taught a valuable lesson without ever raising his voice or losing his composure. His response to disrespect wasn't anger or retaliation, but rather a masterclass in dignity and grace, qualities that no amount of money can buy. Let us know in the comments if you've ever experienced something similar, and remember, the next time you're tempted to judge someone by their appearance, they might just turn out to be a legend in disguise. The video of Victoria Reynolds' encounter with Michael Jordan spread across social media platforms like wildfire. Within hours, millions of viewers had witnessed the moment when prejudice met humility, and the lessons it taught reverberated far beyond the walls of Highland Mall. The incident quickly became more than just another viral moment. It became a catalyst for conversations about judgment, wealth, and the true meaning of class. Lisa Martinez's phone recording captured every detail: the sharp criticism, the revealed identity, and most importantly, Jordan's graceful response. The contrast between Victoria's designer outfit and Jordan's casual wear became a powerful symbol that resonated with people worldwide. Comments flooded in from every corner of the globe, with viewers sharing their own experiences of being judged by their appearance. The morning after the incident, Highland Mall looked different. The usual crowd of shoppers was supplemented by curious onlookers hoping to catch a glimpse of the store where it all happened. Emma Sullivan, who had witnessed the entire exchange from behind the counter, found herself fielding questions from eager customers who wanted to know every detail of what had transpired. Robert Chin, the store manager, noticed a significant shift in the shopping atmosphere. "There's been a change in how people carry themselves here," he observed to his staff during their morning meeting. "It's like everyone's more conscious of how they treat others, regardless of what they're wearing." The incident had transformed his high-end store into an unexpected classroom for social awareness. Trevor Jackson, the security guard who had watched the scene unfold, shared his perspective with curious shoppers. "In all my years working security, I've never seen someone handle disrespect with such dignity. Mr. Jordan didn't need to prove anything to anyone, and that's what made his response so powerful." His words were quoted in several local news articles that picked up the story. Meanwhile, Victoria Reynolds had become an unwitting symbol of prejudice and materialistic judgment. Her social media accounts were flooded with messages, some angry, others offering advice about humility and respect. The designer brands she had once flaunted so proudly now seemed to weigh heavily on her conscience. Several of her regular shopping companions had quietly distanced themselves, not wanting to be associated with the viral incident. The story took on a life of its own as media outlets began exploring deeper angles. Business magazines analyzed Jordan's personal brand and how his response aligned with his long-standing reputation for excellence both on and off the court. Fashion blogs discussed the intersection of wealth and style, questioning the assumption that expensive clothes equated to class. Social commentators used the incident to highlight broader issues about societal prejudices and snap judgments. Michael Bennett, who had been shopping at the mall that day, found himself interviewed by local news stations. "What struck me most was how Mr. Jordan turned what could have been an ugly confrontation into a teaching moment," he recalled. "He didn't just prove Victoria wrong, he showed everyone watching what true class looks like." The incident sparked a movement on social media. The hashtag dress like a legend started trending, with people sharing photos of themselves in casual wear, celebrating comfort and authenticity over superficial appearances. Celebrities and influencers joined in, sharing their own stories of being judged by their clothing choices. Jordan's words about character mattering more than clothes became a widely shared quote, appearing on everything from social media posts to motivational posters. His statement about the richest people wearing sweats and the poorest souls in designer labels particularly resonated, prompting discussions about the true nature of wealth and success. Local business owners near Highland Mall reported an interesting phenomenon. Customers were being noticeably kinder to each other, regardless of their attire. The incident had created a ripple effect of consciousness about appearance-based prejudice. Even Victoria's favorite luxury brands took notice, with several releasing statements about inclusivity and respect in their shopping environments. Emma Sullivan, still processing her role in the viral moment, found herself becoming an unexpected advocate for retail worker rights. Her uncomfortable position during Victoria's tirade sparked discussions about how retail workers often face similar situations but feel powerless to respond. What Mr. Jordan did wasn't just about defending himself, she explained in a blog post that went viral. He stood up for everyone who's ever been judged unfairly in a store. The story reached Jordan's charitable foundation, which seized the opportunity to launch an initiative focused on breaking down socioeconomic barriers in retail spaces. The program would work with high-end shopping districts to create more inclusive environments and train staff on addressing prejudice and discrimination. Robert Chen's store saw an unexpected surge in business, but not from the usual luxury-seeking crowd. People from all walks of life began visiting, some just to take pictures, others to shop with a new perspective on what it meant to belong in a high-end space. Chen adapted to this change by implementing a "respect first" policy, making it clear that all customers would be treated with equal dignity, regardless of their attire. Victoria Reynolds remained conspicuously absent from her usual shopping haunts. Sources close to her revealed that the incident had forced her to confront uncomfortable truths about herself. The woman who had once judged others so harshly was now experiencing firsthand what it felt like to be on the receiving end of public criticism. The incident's impact extended to corporate training programs, with several major retailers using the video as a teaching tool for their employees. The lesson was clear: appearances can be deceiving, and true customer service means treating everyone with equal respect and dignity. Local schools picked up the story as well, incorporating it into discussions about bullying and judgment. Teachers reported that students were particularly receptive to the lesson, given Jordan's legendary status and the clear moral of the story. The incident provided a perfect real-world example of how to handle criticism with grace and turn negativity into a teaching moment. Trevor Jackson noticed a change in his security work as well. "People are more mindful now," he observed. "They think twice before making assumptions about others based on what they're wearing." It's like Mr. Jordan's response that day set a new standard for behavior in the mall. The story's reach extended far beyond Chicago, inspiring similar conversations in shopping centers worldwide. luxury retailers began examining their own biases and training procedures, recognizing that true luxury should be about excellence in service rather than exclusivity based on appearance. As weeks passed, the incident became a reference point for discussions about class, wealth, and judgment. Jordan's response was studied and celebrated not just for what he said, but for what he didn't say. No angry outburst, no public shaming, just a calm demonstration of true class that spoke volumes. The transformation of Highland Mall continued, with Robert Chen reporting a noticeable shift in the shopping atmosphere. "We've always prided ourselves on providing luxury experiences," he said in a local business journal, "but now we understand that true luxury includes making everyone feel valued and respected." The chapter of the viral moment was far from over, but it had already left an indelible mark on everyone involved. It served as a powerful reminder that in a world often quick to judge by appearances, true legends are recognized not by what they wear, but by how they treat others. Let us know in the comments if this story has changed how you think about judging others by their appearance. Have you ever been in a similar situation? Share your experience and join the conversation about what really defines class and character. 2 weeks after the incident at Highland Mall, Victoria Reynolds sat alone in her luxurious downtown Chicago apartment, surrounded by designer shopping bags and expensive furniture that suddenly seemed to mock her. The viral video had accumulated over 50 million views across various platforms, and her life had changed in ways she never could have anticipated. The woman who once judged others by their clothing was now experiencing a profound shift in perspective. The morning started with Victoria discovering yet another article about the incident in her social media feed. This time, it was an in-depth piece analyzing the psychology of judgment and featuring interviews with people who had witnessed the encounter. Each new story served as a reminder of her actions that day, but something was different now. Instead of feeling defensive, Victoria found herself nodding in agreement with the criticisms. Her phone buzzed with a notification. Emma Sullivan, the store employee who had been present during the incident, had written a thoughtful piece about retail workers' experiences with customer prejudice. Victoria's hands trembled as she read Emma's words, remembering how she had treated the young woman as merely a prop in her performance of superiority. The article had gone viral, and the comment section was filled with similar stories from retail workers worldwide. Meanwhile, at Highland Mall, Robert Chen was implementing new changes inspired by the incident. The store's entrance now displayed a sign reading, "All are welcome here," in elegant gold lettering. The message was subtle but clear. This was a space where everyone deserved respect, regardless of their attire. Chen had even invited Victoria to participate in a new initiative aimed at promoting inclusivity in luxury retail spaces. Trevor Jackson, who continued his security duties at the mall, noticed Victoria walking past the store several times over the past week, never quite finding the courage to enter. Approached, wearing significantly more subdued clothing than before, she would pause, then turn away. The security guard understood. Sometimes the hardest steps are the ones that lead us back to face our mistakes. The incident had sparked a movement that extended far beyond Highland Mall. Lisa Martinez's viral video had inspired a documentary filmmaker to explore the intersection of fashion, wealth, and prejudice. The filmmaker had reached out to Victoria, offering her a chance to share her side of the story and what she had learned from the experience. Michael Bennett, who had witnessed the entire scene, found himself regularly sharing the story during his motivational speaking engagements. "I saw two types of wealth that day," he would tell his audience. "One was wrapped in designer labels and arrogance, the other in humility and grace. Michael Jordan showed us which one had real value." The story had even reached the corporate offices of major luxury brands. Several companies had begun re-evaluating their marketing strategies, questioning whether they had inadvertently promoted exclusivity at the expense of humanity. One bold brand even launched a campaign featuring celebrities in casual wear, directly challenging the notion that luxury was about outward appearances. Victoria's transformation continued as she began volunteering at a local community center, teaching professional development classes to job seekers. Her expertise in fashion and presentation, once used to judge and exclude, was now helping others build confidence regardless of their budget. The irony wasn't lost on her. She had found her true calling by helping others feel valued in any attire. Robert Chen received an unexpected visit one morning from Jordan's representative. The basketball legend had been following the developments and wanted to support the store's inclusive initiatives. A collaboration was proposed. A new section in the store would feature high-quality basics and athletic wear, making luxury accessible to a broader audience while maintaining the store's standards of excellence. Emma Sullivan's role had evolved as well. She had been promoted to customer relations manager, specifically tasked with ensuring all shoppers felt welcomed and respected. Her experience during the incident had given her unique insight into handling difficult situations with grace, much like Jordan had demonstrated that day. The local business community took notice of the changes at Highland Mall. Other high-end shopping centers began implementing similar initiatives, recognizing that true luxury wasn't about exclusivity but about creating an environment of respect and dignity for all. Victoria was invited to speak at several retail conferences, sharing her journey from judgment to understanding. Trevor Jackson observed these changes from his security post, noting how the incident had transformed not just Victoria but the entire shopping culture. "People smile more now," he remarked to a local reporter. "They make eye contact, hold doors open, treat each other with respect." It's like Mr. Jordan's lesson that day woke everyone up to what really matters. Victoria finally found the courage to return to the store one quiet morning. As she stepped through the doors, she felt the weight of her previous actions, but also the possibility of redemption. Emma greeted her with professional courtesy, neither dismissive nor cold, demonstrating the very grace Victoria was learning to embrace. The conversation that followed between Victoria and Emma became another powerful moment in this ongoing story. Victoria apologized not just for that day, but for every time she had looked down on someone based on their appearance. Emma's response was equally meaningful. She shared how the incident had actually led to positive changes in how retail workers were treated and protected. Robert Chen joined their conversation, and together they discussed how the incident had become a catalyst for change. Victoria learned that her story was being used in customer service training programs nationwide, not to shame her, but to illustrate how prejudice can blind us to the humanity of others. The transformation extended to Victoria's social circle as well. Former shopping companions who had encouraged her judgmental behavior were replaced by new friends who valued character over labels. She found herself gravitating toward people who challenged her to grow rather than those who reinforced old prejudices. Jordan's words about clothes not making the man had become something of a personal mantra for Victoria. She still appreciated quality and style, but now understood that these were means of self-expression rather than tools for judgment. Her own wardrobe began to reflect this change, designer pieces mixed with casual wear, chosen for comfort and authenticity rather than show. The documentary filmmaker captured Victoria's return to the store, turning it into a powerful segment about redemption and growth. The footage showed her engaging with customers from all walks of life, sharing her story openly and encouraging others to examine their own biases. Lisa Martinez's original viral video had evolved into a case study for social media's power to drive positive change. Marketing professors at local universities used it to teach about authentic brand building and the importance of genuine human connection in business. As the third month since the incident approached, Highland Mall had become a different place. The security cameras that had captured the original incident now recorded countless moments of kindness and inclusion. Victoria herself had become a regular presence, not as a judgmental shopper, but as someone actively working to create a more welcoming environment. The story's impact continued to ripple outward. Other malls across the country reached out to Robert Chen for advice on implementing similar changes. Victoria was invited to contribute to a book about transformative moments in retail history. Even Jordan's casual choice of attire that day had sparked discussions about the freedom to be authentic regardless of one's status or wealth. Emma Sullivan's blog about retail workers' experiences had grown into a movement, with thousands sharing their stories and supporting each other. Victoria became an unexpected ally in this cause, using her experience to advocate for better treatment of retail workers and a more inclusive shopping environment. The incident that could have remained a simple viral moment of shame had instead become a story of transformation, not just for Victoria but for an entire community. It proved that sometimes the most powerful changes come from confronting our own prejudices and choosing to grow from them. Let us know in the comments if you've ever experienced a moment that completely changed your perspective on judging others. How did it impact your life? Share your story and join the conversation about personal growth and transformation. 6 months after the viral incident at Highland Mall, a special event was being held at the very store where it all began. The occasion? The launch of a new initiative called Beyond the Label, a collaboration between Michael Jordan's foundation and several major retailers aimed at promoting inclusivity in luxury spaces. The woman chosen to give the opening speech? None other than Victoria Reynolds. The store had been transformed for the evening. Robert Chen had overseen every detail, ensuring the space reflected the message they were trying to convey. Designer pieces were displayed alongside quality basics, and photos of people from all walks of life adorned the walls. Each image told a story of someone who had faced judgment based on their appearance, including one particularly powerful photo of Jordan in his now famous casual attire from that fateful day. Emma Sullivan, now the store's customer relations director, stood at the entrance, welcoming guests dressed in everything from expensive suits to casual wear. The dress code for the evening had been deliberately left open. "Come as you are," read the invitations, a direct challenge to the old notions of what belonged in a luxury retail space. Trevor Jackson, still manning his security post but now with a new title of Community Relations Officer, smiled as he watched people stream in. The crowd was unlike anything the store had seen before. Business executives in suits mingled with students in hoodies, celebrities chatted with retail workers, and fashion influencers dressed down for the occasion in solidarity with the event's message. Lisa Martinez, whose viral video had started it all, was there with her camera, but this time as an invited documentarian. Her original footage played on screens throughout the store, interspersed with interviews and stories collected over the past 6 months. Each clip showed how a single moment of prejudice had transformed into a movement of understanding. Michael Bennett had helped organize a panel discussion for the evening, bringing together retail workers, fashion industry leaders, and social activists to discuss the intersection of fashion, respect, and human dignity. The conversation would tackle hard questions about prejudice in retail spaces and propose concrete solutions for creating more inclusive shopping environments. As Victoria stepped up to the podium, she looked different from the woman who had once judged others so harshly. Her outfit was elegant but understated, chosen for comfort rather than show. The designer labels she once flaunted like armor were replaced by a quiet confidence that needed no external validation. 6 months ago, "I stood in this very spot and made a terrible mistake," Victoria began, her voice steady despite the emotion in her words. "I judged a man based on his clothes, only to discover he was Michael Jordan. But the real lesson wasn't about who he was, it was about who I was, and who I needed to become." The audience listened intently as Victoria shared her journey from that moment of shame to her current role as an advocate for retail inclusivity. She spoke about the messages she'd received from people worldwide, sharing their own experiences of being judged by their appearance. Each story had peeled away another layer of her former prejudices. Robert Chen took the stage next, announcing the store's new policies that would serve as a model for retailers nationwide. Staff training would now include extensive modules on unconscious bias, and the store's success metrics would measure not just sales figures but customer satisfaction across all demographics. Emma Sullivan presented the results of a nationwide survey on retail discrimination, conducted in partnership with Jordan's Foundation. The findings were sobering, but the response from the retail community was encouraging. Over 200 stores had already signed up for the Beyond the Label initiative, committing to create more welcoming spaces for all shoppers. The highlight of the evening came when a video message from Michael Jordan himself played on the main screen. He hadn't made a big deal about the incident at the time, but his words now carried extra weight. "What you wear doesn't define your worth," he said. "I've worn uniforms and suits, but I'm the same person in sweats and a hoodie. True character shows through no matter what you're wearing." Trevor Jackson shared his observations about how the mall had changed since the incident. Security reports of discrimination had dropped significantly, and customer satisfaction scores were at an all-time high. "People think twice now," he noted. They remember this story and choose kindness over judgment. Lisa Martinez's new documentary footage captured the ripple effects of the incident across the country. Similar stories had emerged from other retail spaces, each one showing how a moment of prejudice had been transformed into an opportunity for growth and understanding. Her work had become a testament to how social media could drive positive change when used to promote understanding rather than shame. The event included interactive elements as well. Guests were invited to share their own stories of judgment and transformation on a special wall dedicated to personal experiences. The messages ranged from humorous to heartbreaking, each one adding to the larger narrative about the impact of appearance-based prejudice. Victoria had arranged for several of her former shopping companions to attend, those who had once encouraged her judgmental behavior. They too had undergone their own transformations, realizing how their casual comments and attitudes had contributed to a culture of exclusion. Their presence at the event symbolized a broader shift in thinking about fashion, wealth, and worth. Robert Chen unveiled the store's new apprenticeship program, designed to bring diverse perspectives into luxury retail. The program would provide opportunities for people from all backgrounds to learn about the industry while contributing their unique viewpoints to the conversation about inclusive luxury. Emma Sullivan announced the launch of a support network for retail workers, created to help them handle situations of discrimination with confidence and professionalism. The network would provide resources, training, and emotional support for workers facing similar situations to what she had experienced that day with Victoria. As the evening progressed, the store itself seemed to embody the change they were celebrating. Designer items shared space with quality basics, each displayed with equal prominence. The message was clear: luxury wasn't about exclusivity anymore. It was about excellence, accessibility, and respect. Michael Bennett moderated a powerful discussion about the future of retail, challenging industry leaders to think beyond traditional notions of luxury and status. The conversation tackled difficult questions about class, privilege, and the responsibility of high-end retailers to create welcoming spaces for all. Victoria concluded the evening by announcing a scholarship program she had created in partnership with Jordan's Foundation. The program would support students interested in fashion and retail who demonstrated a commitment to creating inclusive spaces. It was her way of ensuring that the lessons she had learned would continue to impact future generations. The event ended with a simple ceremony. Victoria, Emma, Robert, and Trevor each placed an item of clothing on a special display: a designer jacket, a store uniform, a business suit, and a security guard's tie. Below the display, a plaque read, "The clothes we wear tell a story, but not the whole story. Look deeper." As guests departed, each carrying a small gift bag containing both a luxury item and a basic necessity, the message was clear. The incident that had started as a moment of shame had transformed into a movement of change. Victoria's mistake had become a catalyst for a broader conversation about judgment, worth, and the true meaning of class. The story of the woman who laughed at Michael Jordan's clothes had become more than just a viral moment. It had become a template for transformation. It showed how one person's journey from judgment to understanding could inspire others to examine their own biases and choose a better way. Let us know in the comments if you've ever been part of a moment that transformed not just you, but an entire community. How did it change your perspective on judging others? Share your story and join the conversation about creating a world where character matters more than clothes.